Actually, Pastor Steve was probably in high school when I ended up at Citadel, so I could tell you some stories of him when he was... No, I won't do that. My name is Darcia, for those of you that do not know me. It's a lot easier to share my testimony in the car than it is in front of people, so bear with me. If I get nervous, I speak fast, so you're going to have to listen. I grew up in East Northport with my sister and my parents, my older sister. And we were your typical, people were invited to church, our neighborhood kids invited us to church, people that we went to school with. So those of you that are challenged to bring kids to school, kids from school to church, that's why I'm standing here today. My parents we were Greek Orthodox, but my parents didn't go to church, so they felt what harm would we learn in church, and they let us go to church. So we went to Vacation Bible School, Sunday school. The program was Pioneer Girls and Boys. We went to We're Life, snow camp, summer camp, and eventually as we got older, we went to youth group as well. Soon after we started going to church, tragedy struck our family, and my father died in a car accident. And our life changed from that moment on. I don't remember my mother being a happy person. She was bitter towards God and lived most of her life, till this day, depressed. She was just going through the motions. I'd say we might have lost both of our parents that year. My mother had to go back to work, and my sister being the oldest, she started relying on my sister for things in the household that needed to get done. She was the oldest. She matured quickly. I was the youngest, and I remained the baby. She didn't need me in that role. And then as we were in high school, we played sports, which I think was a good thing, kind of kept me going because we didn't have a whole lot of family life. My mother kind of shut down after my dad passed away. And at 16, my sister got a job, part-time job again to help out around the house, but that kind of left me home alone because they were both working nights. And that's when I started drinking in high school. And my sister graduated high school, went over to Bible college, and a year later I graduated high school. Didn't really want to go to college. I pretty much was skimming through high school to begin with. I would study so I knew I could pass, and then I'd go out partying. So college wasn't on my plan of things to do, but I felt if I didn't go to college, I'd have to get a full-time job, mature, and become an adult. And at 17, I wasn't ready to do that. I still struggle with the maturity thing sometimes. But I polled some friends of mine and found out where everyone was going to college, and I went 2 years to Suffolk, and then I went 2 years to Adelphi. And continued playing sports, but we continued drinking as well. And there was a time in college that we were probably drinking every day of the week, after games, after practice, during lunch. We didn't need a reason, and we were drinking to get drunk. We had a bar on campus, so that made life very easily. I also was working part-time at McDonald's, but anything I made at McDonald's, we were spending on liquor. But it was fine. It was my money, my life, and I was in complete control. Well, what I didn't mention, my dad had passed away in a car accident. My dad was also a bartender, and there's a good chance that he was drinking and driving that night and coming home late. And my mother was waiting up for him. We lived on a corner, so you can kind of see the main street from where we were living, and she was sitting in the living room couch waiting for him to come home. And 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, as the night went on, she was planning the worst. And eventually police did come to the door and tell her that my dad had died. He was probably speeding, fell asleep at the wheel, hit a tree, and died instantly. And as I was out drinking and driving and coming home late, my mother was reliving that night. I didn't care. I was fine. I was having a great time. It was my life, and I was in control. But I was putting her through hell every time I'd say I'd be home by midnight. Who keeps track of the time when you're drinking? We'd come home at 4 and 5, and this was weighing on her. And I could remember coming home some nights, and she would sigh a sigh of relief that I was home safe, and then she'd kick me out of the house. And I'd sleep in the car, in the backyard. Sometimes I'd go back to the house of the person that we were partying at, and I'd crash on somebody's couch. I didn't even know the family, and they'd wake up and go to work, and there I'd be sleeping on someone's couch. Again, that was fine with me. And that was pretty much my life for 4 years. Come my senior year of college, my mind was starting to think a little bit. Oh, you're going to graduate next month. You don't have a place to stay. You don't have a full-time job. It was just there. Well, my sister was at Bible college. She was actually at Citadel Bible College in Ozark, Arkansas, where Pastor Steve's Dad and brother were teaching as long as Pastor Peter. And she invited me to come out on my Easter break to visit her at Bible college, and I said yes. I had gotten kicked out again, and that was no coincidence. God was just putting the pieces of the puzzle together to get my attention. And I was sleeping at the dorm again, somebody's floor, somebody's couch, and everything was fine. Still had everything under control. And I go to visit my sister at Bible college. She had everybody praying for me. It was a small college. And everybody knew me. Everybody knew my situation. Everybody was praying for me. And I remember getting there, and my sister knew everything that was going on because every time I had a problem at home, my mother would call my sister. So I was kind of wearing on both of them at that time. But my sister called my mom while I was visiting in Arkansas, kind of to soften the blow, see if she can get me back into the house. And my mom told my sister in regards to me, I love her dearly, but I don't want to ever see her again. And as cool as I was on the outside, that kind of caught my attention on the inside, that things just weren't going the way I had planned my life to go. Well, I spent the week at Bible college. I didn't like my sister witnessing to me, but strangers could witness to me, and she set me up with some friends of hers that week. I had a lot of head knowledge. I grew up in church, so I could converse with anybody. It's just I had the head knowledge. I didn't have the heart knowledge. But I had seen something at that Bible college that I really hadn't experienced a whole lot of, and that was real love. And it was a love for the Lord. It was a love for each other, for me, and life. And that was another piece of the puzzle that kind of caught my attention in the back of my head. Well, I spent the whole week there and didn't give my life to the Lord. But they took me to the airport. My sister and her friend Sue DeVille, who was one of the girls that had witnessed to me that week. And in those days, you can walk the people right up to the gate. And as I'm handing in my boarding pass, Sue was still witnessing to me. And I was like, not ready yet. And my sister had handed me a note. And she said, why don't you read this on the plane? And it was just her challenging me to give my life to the Lord, make the right decisions. The direction I was taking my life wasn't going to work, and I kind of knew that at that point. And I prayed on the airplane and accepted the Lord into my heart, into my life. Some people say it was because I was closer to heaven that God finally caught my attention. But I remember just having a peace that everything was going to be okay. Again, graduating college in a month, I had no place to live, no full-time job, but I had this peace that everything was going to be okay. Not only had a drinking problem, I had a cursing problem. I had a very foul mouth. So I was like, Lord, I'll do anything. You just got to help me through this. And for those of you that teach music, especially in church, I had these songs in my head that I had grown up in church. And I was singing these songs over and over again on the plane to myself. And it just gave me great comfort. Well, I got home that night. My mother was working. I just stopped at the house to get some things together. And she had left a note that said, "Stay home, I want to talk to you." I thought, this God really is powerful if he could move my mother's heart. And we did talk, and I told her things were going to be different, and obviously she had to see that. She told my sister that I bought stockings for church, so they knew I was serious when that happened. And after I graduated college, my sister challenged me to go out to Citadel Bible College. I'd just gone to 4 years of college that I didn't want to go to. Now I'm going to a 5th year. But it was a good decision because it got me grounded in the Word. And here I am, April, I'm drinking and living the life. And the same year, August, I'm now driving to Bible college, Ozark, Arkansas, population 3,000, if that many. And I was like a fish out of water. And it was just a real new experience for me. I just knew it was something I had to do. But God worked out every detail. He still does today. And I remember him working out every detail to get me to college. And when I got there, I didn't know anybody. They all knew me. They had been praying for me. And they're like, "Oh, good to see you." And I'm like, "Oh, who are you?" It was just really, really weird. And I had gotten there before my roommate, so I'm now in Ozark, Arkansas, how many hours from home, alone. And across the hall from me was Pastor Steve's sister, Priscilla. She was checking in to college for the first time. And Pastor Steve's mom would come visit her, and I'd be like, "I need a friend too." And I adopted Pastor Steve's mom as my adopted mom while I was there at Citadel, and she helped me through some times in the beginning. And I'd say if Citadel would have had a prayer journal, my name would be in it. But praise God, next to my name would read April 20th, 1981. And I am old, so don't do the math.